Okay. Calling the December 11 meeting of the Parks, Recreation, and Natural Resources Commission to order. The mission of the Cottage Grove Parks and Recreation Commission is to create and promote policies, programs, and places that enable active living for a more vibrant community. Let's get started with the roll call. Okay. Has everyone had the opportunity to review the agenda? Any questions or comments on the agenda? Okay, then I'm looking for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you.
Second?
All right, those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries, agenda's approved. Have we had an opportunity to review the minutes? Okay, questions or comments on the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes?
Okay, thank you.
Second.
Again, all right, those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries, minutes are approved. Any open forum tonight? It does not look like it. Then we'll go over to Molly for our presentation on winter programs and events.
Good evening, Parks Commission. We just wanted to come tonight to give you a brief update on upcoming winter programs and events happening here still in Cottage Grove. We just ended kind of our last winter thing yesterday with the holiday train, but we still have our holiday lights home tour going on. It's not too late to still add your house to the stop. That's available on a web link on the city's website. From there, it creates a map that you can travel then throughout Cottage Grove, looking at houses that have been decorated. The map does start here at City Hall, so everybody gets to see our big chair out front and the tree lit here as your starting point for the evening. We just like to remind everybody that Park and Rec, we're pretty seasonal in our offices. So parks stay open, trails are open, skating rinks. I'll get into that in a minute. Same with sledding hills, cross-country skiing, and snowshoes. All of those are kind of delayed at this point, but we'll still be getting there. So our winter warming houses include ice skating and sledding. So you can see the facilities listed there. They're open 7 days a week once we have enough ice built by our Parks Department. We have not started any rinks yet. We need some consistent colder weather. If in between now and rinks are ready, if we do get a considerable amount of snow, we will open warming houses that have sledding hills at them so that residents can get out and utilize those warming houses when they're out sledding. Still to be determined is Glacial Valley. We're waiting on a few more supplies to be delivered and installed at that new park before we are able to determine if we are putting in a rink this year. So watch social media. Feel free to give us a call in the office if you're looking for more information. But our tentative schedule for warming houses to open the day after Christmas, we are not going to meet that goal just quite yet. So we don't even have an estimated time yet, but to be determined. We are holding winter break programming similar to our supervised playgrounds for 4 days at Peter Thompson Park during winter break. All of those days are currently full. I think maybe Tuesday has a few openings still, but the other days are full. So we anticipate 40 kids there each day playing outside, games, crafts, just kind of having fun. It's fun to see everybody we haven't seen since MEA break, and we have a bunch of staff back from the summer. So it's always kind of a fun 4 days to reconnect and regroup. Snowshoe rentals, again, are on hold. We need a minimum of 1 foot of snow on the ground to kind of make those trails ready to go. Brad is working on that in our department. He is planning still on utilizing Mississippi Dunes Park for the snowshoes still this winter. Kind of depending on the weather, we may have to change that, but that is the goal as of right now. This was new to us last year, so this is our trailer that we use for kayaks in the summer. And then we kind of modify it. You can see in the picture that plywood in the back to fit snowshoes. So each rental locker includes 2 pairs of snowshoes. There are no poles included. So if you want your own, feel free to bring those. It's a great chance. You rent them online. You get an access code just like the kayaks. Glacial Valleys, we were talking about it before the meeting, is I'd say we're like 95% of the way there. We have a few things still to be put in and installed there. But Glacial Valley is something to keep in mind if you're looking for a great rental spot this summer. Rentals at Glacial Valley include the use of the kitchen area, tables, chairs, AV equipment. Rental times, just like our other facilities, are 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. We have established rental costs for Glacial Valley are, I don't know what that is, are $450 for residents or $550 for non-residents. Permits do open, I think, the second week in February for all of our sites, and Glacial Valley will be included in that. So here's a look at our opening day details. So now that I mentioned we've finished holiday train, we're done with kind of our 2024 programs. We really start delving into 2024, getting everything set. We are very strategic on how things are posted and when things open so that we can give 100% customer service on everything as we do it. So this is very specific. This takes us hours to figure out when we're doing what, when and where. So hockey, Highway 61 hockey camp will be back again. That opens for registration January 17th. We are offering our second season of Grizzly 3v3 hockey. February 6th, like I mentioned, park reservations open for the summer. Those can still only be done by calling us in the office. So we typically have all hands on deck at 8 a.m. and go strong for about 4 hours that morning. I'll back up. Highway 61 fills typically in about 15 minutes, all online. But then it's a lot of like side hustle to kind of get it organized. 3v3 hockey should be a little bit slower registration process. Summer supervised playgrounds is February 13th. Last year, that only took about an hour to fill. We are adding Glacial Valley as a site this year. As of right now, we are still planning on 40 kids there, and we're going to kind of see what that looks like. We initially thought 50 kids at Glacial Valley, but I think we may pare it back for the first year and go 40 kids. So that will be our 5th site for the summer. February 28th, Pickleball Club opens for registration, and that's going to be a process. So that'll be Pickleball Club people from last year, residents, non-residents. So everybody's going to have about 72 hours to kind of get their club membership. And I believe we're kind of set on 300 people in the club this year. And the club then will get you times to play pickleball during pickleball club times at Glacial Valley. So I believe by March, Brad is planning on coming and kind of giving a pickleball update at that point. And then March 15th, all of our other summer programs will open for registration. So that's kind of where we're at right now. We're kind of done with our, like we say, boots on the ground work, and we're now just going to sit back and start kind of organizing and trying to remember what went well last year as we plan for this year. So I'm happy to answer any questions on how things went the last few weeks or going forward. I can answer any questions that you guys might have. Or if there's none, that's good too. Thank you, guys.
All right, thanks, Molly.
Yeah.
Okay, our first action item tonight is related to the Mississippi Dunes Park naming.
Thank you, Chair, members of the commission. Mississippi Dunes Reserve is the current name we're using for that property, the former Mississippi Dunes Golf Course, where we have the 20 acres of passive recreational space, and then we're also going to be adding the additional 10 to 19 acres for recreational space there. I think the commission is very familiar with the site. You've reviewed this item, I believe, at three commission meetings. So I've added some additional information as the process has gone on. The list has gotten a little bit longer for potential park names. But as always, at this point, the commission, following the park naming policy, the commission can make a recommendation to council. Council makes the final, would approve the final naming at their discretion. So at this point, there's a list of names. You can make a recommendation to the council, or we can table the topic to another meeting yet. So I will turn it over to the chair.
I like that we have several names to choose from at this point, but I did want to share some input from Commissioner Crabtree, who's not able to be here tonight. She has a strong preference for getting some more community input and was interested to know if we could try and get something on one of our social media pages or something to try and generate some more interest in getting community input on a name. Otherwise, also avoid names related to previous use or owners, just trying to have a fresh start and a real positive kind of influence from the name for this area. Does anyone have strong feelings about a name that's already on our list or other comments they want to share?
Hi, yep, so Commissioner Crabtree had mentioned this at our previous meeting, I saw on the movie of the meeting. So I didn't know if you'd had a chance to talk to the communications folks on our behalf or not, Zach?
We have not. So if we
Okay.
get that direction from the commission, we would be able to do that, but we have not dialogued on that yet. At the last meeting, the direction was just to table it for further conversation, so we left it at that.
And basically, what Commissioner Crabtree said is kind of how I feel. I feel like this is the most important park naming that has come up since I've been a member of this commission. And I didn't really like the names we had, so I just kind of brainstormed and added a few, but I don't have a name that I really, really love.
I kind of liked the idea of Gray Cloud Channel Park as reflecting kind of the body of water that we're connecting to, or something simple like Mississippi River Park to kind of highlight that's our river access point. It's been on our agenda for a while, so I'm kind of itching to start to narrow things down, especially since we're going to be having snowshoe rental and starting to have programming on the spot. I think it would be nice if we could get closer to selecting a name. But I'm open to taking more time if that is more comfortable for everyone.
So Commissioner Crabtree, when she's thinking about getting community input, would she be wanting to put like this list out there to have people vote? Or would she be wanting to solicit name your park kind of input?
I would suggest that you guys are a representative of the community. And that's why you guys were selected to be on the Parks and Rec Board. My fear with, have you guys been following the flag selection process for the state of Minnesota? It's gotten a little kind of bogged down. I would fear that something similar might happen, or we'd get, people that are maybe not being genuine or serious in their naming suggestions. So I would maybe caution us from wanting to go that route. Given the experience we have with naming, I think some of the best park names that we have are either commemorative in terms of the location or like the site location or history of the park, or their memorial, and we're representing or kind of honoring somebody either involved with the property from the past or somebody who is significant in the community. Just kind of, as you guys are kind of brainstorming for ideas, I think those are the names that really kind of like land and seem to work. But yeah, I would caution us from putting this out to the greater community for fear that it might bog down the process and make it harder, not easier on you guys.
Chair, if I could, I'd just like to respectfully disagree with Councilmember Kumbada. It seems to me very odd that we would not want input from the folks that actually own this park, the city, citizens of our city. I think the fact that it's controversial is all the more reason to involve the citizens in the process. Thank you.
So it seems like we don't have a name to put forward at this time. Is that
Well, I
correct?
put forward about 10, so I've done some work.
My neighbor said we should call it Park on the Hill. Park. Well, we want to maybe, would it be helpful to narrow it down a little bit? I don't know, just to kind of like move the process forward. I don't know if that's something,
I think that's a good idea.
it's a starting point since we've been kind of like stuck on this item.
And Chair, if you would like, you could move this agenda item to a workshop where we could, if you'd rather talk about it in a workshop setting where you can actually do some silent ballots, we could do that too, and then, but you wouldn't be able to take any action tonight. You still have to bring it back to the next meeting. So that's an option too, if you don't want to try to bog down the meeting on, in this situation, but just offering alternatives.
Because if we push it to another meeting to try and make a selection, then that's in February, which still needs to be approved by council. So it's like, it's pushing us kind of further and further into activity season. And I don't know, I think it would be nice to have a name so that when we are promoting programs, we're referring to a consistent place rather than a previous name for a property, especially if it doesn't have a positive feeling for some of our community members. Maybe we could try to look at if there are things we could eliminate from the list to help us focus a little bit more, like Deb suggested. If we tried to remove references to dunes, if that's something that's comfortable for folks, that would take out like Mississippi Dunes Park, Dunes Landing, Dunes Park. Is Mississippi Landing, was that a reference to the previous property too, or is Landing separate?
That one came from Commissioner Olson.
Okay. I'm not as familiar with
Oh, I'm sorry, that
golf
one did
course
not.
property, so I don't know what connections might be there.
I apologize, Chair. That actually came from the housing development that's proposed. The current housing development that's proposed on the site the neighborhood is entitled Mississippi Dunes Landing.
Mississippi Dunes.
Or at least it was. That can always change, but that was on their original proposal. I've also seen on that same, I also saw Mississippi Landing. That's why those two are on there. Number 2 and number 3, Mississippi Landing and Mississippi Dunes Landing.
But Mississippi Dunes, like specifically, is the only thing related to the golf course itself? There wasn't another, these other names aren't connected to that?
Well, Chair, members of the commission, there was so the owner's name was Doc. That was the name that he was referenced as, was Doc. There was a restaurant, the bar and grill at the clubhouse was called Doc's Landing.
Okay.
I would just offer that, to me, landing, while it's used a lot, I don't like Mississippi Landing alone. It does say that this is where the land meets the water, and this city owns this spot where the land meets the water. That's kind of attractive to me.
Okay, so we want to keep Mississippi Landing in consideration for possible names. Commissioner Crabtree had also mentioned a strong preference for the Great Cloud Channel name from the list that we had created. So that's 2, Mississippi Landing and Great Cloud Channel. Is there another name that sticks out to anyone that they want to make sure we continue to consider?
I kind of like the first Cottage Grove mayor. Again, kind of going along with naming a park after an important citizen in the community. It takes away from the river and the land itself, but I like the idea of possibly naming it by Harold Kernkamp Park.
Okay.
I like that name.
right, so that's 3 instead of 14. So that feels like a step in the right direction. Do we feel comfortable on trying to narrow down to 1 at this point? Or do you guys want more time to consider and try and get input somehow, possibly? More time or try and narrow down further from 3?
I am not in the least bit interested in being rushed in this, but that's just me. And then secondly, I still hold out hope that we might ask our fellow citizens what their thoughts are.
I agree that we need to come up with something before we do programming, just so that's consistent. And as we go forward with programming, it's not like, wait, I thought it was at a different park last time, or just for ease of use, I guess.
Okay.
And we have programming starting in February, so if we hold off to the next meeting, then we probably wouldn't be able to name something until March, is that?
Chair, members of the commission, another meeting is not, I don't think it's gonna set us off course with recognition of the park name. So if you feel like another meeting is necessary, I wouldn't hesitate to do that. We don't have any, I mean, it's the snowshoe, right?
Yeah, and who knows?
Yeah. The popularity of the snowshoe program isn't really through the roof at this point anyways, so
No?
we'll be okay.
Okay.
We got grass still.
Yeah.
Okay. So it seems like we want to hold this for at least one more meeting to continue discussion in February. Can we try and focus on the 3 names, Mississippi Landing, Great Cloud Channel, or the Harold Kernkamp Park? Does that feel comfortable to try and focus on those 3? Unless we have additional suggestions.
Well, I kind of like the Dunes Landing and Cottage Grove. Now, I worry that Commissioner Crabtree may object to the word dunes. However, the Great Cloud Dunes Natural and Scientific Area is just adjacent, just downriver from that park. And while we're deciding to build houses where the dunes actually are, the park that dunes name is consistent throughout the community, I believe. So, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I don't love any of the names. But it feels like we should have at least one with dunes in there. Because, that's like that website, their website it's a pretty special thing, what happened there. All that sand came from the island up onto the hill, or on the riverbank, when it was a lot bigger river.
Okay. So we're not ready to let go of Dunes Landing yet.
Well, or Dunes Park on the Mississippi River, I mean, I don't know. I feel like while it has been on the agenda a lot, the first 2 meetings, there was not much discussion, and because of the letter I wrote last meeting, there wasn't much. So while it's been on the agenda, we haven't devoted a whole lot of time to a pretty significant park, in my view. I like Director Doctor's suggestion of a workshop. We might be able to hash things out a little bit easier, I don't know.
That feels helpful to me. Can we plan for that?
Well, what I would recommend is you actually amend the agenda and make this a workshop, and just after this meeting, we can workshop, and once again, you can't take formal action on it, but you could narrow the list, expand the list, give some direction on how you'd like to see us gather feedback from the community, if that's something you're desiring.
All right, I'll motion that we amend the agenda to add a workshop tonight to work on this some more.
Second.
Right? Do we need additional discussion about amending the agenda? Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, those opposed? All right, motion carries. We've amended the agenda, and we'll talk about this later. Okay, next up, we have the Kingston Park Building Concept Design.
Thank you, Chair, members of the commission. As you may recall, at the last meeting, we had the big boards, and we invited a lot of stakeholders that were intimately involved with Kingston Park, whether they're event coordinators or sports athletic program facilitators or whatever it might be. Invited those folks to look at some preliminary concept designs of the Kingston Park building, a new Kingston Park building. We hired Ortel Architects, some pretty good designs, we think. Just a little bit background that the primary goals, there were 6 primary goals given by council in a workshop before we started the concept design planning. And those goals were to significantly increase restroom capacity, retain and/or grow the picnic sheltering space, add a large programming room, add storage space for events, add a serving kitchen/concession space, and then create a unique exterior design that's different from our current park buildings. A lot of our park buildings have kind of a similar exterior design. They want to see something different. So that was good direction, very clear direction, and I think you'll see that in the designs that are proposed. So all those designs are in your, as well as the site plan and the floor plan are in your report. And at this point, I am looking for, I should mention that in the stakeholder meeting prior to the last commission meeting, the main recommendations we had were to expand this kitchen/serving window, and then thoroughly review the power supply and logistics for all the events. That's something that would take place more in the actual building design set process as opposed to the concept design, but we can certainly do that. So with that, I'm looking for direction on the Kingston Park building concept plans based on the direction from the commission, or I should say, we will bring that feedback and direction to the city council. I believe it's at the January 3rd city council meeting. There is no, this is an unbudgeted project right now, so it's up to the city council in terms of schedule and final project budget, so that was something they'd be discussing in their workshop.
I was pleased to see people in attendance when we had the opportunity for folks to come and review the designs, and it was really neat to hear just kind of general feedback. It seemed positive, liking the concept, imagining different ways to use the space. So that was really nice. We did talk a little bit about the pillar thing that says Kingston Park out on the side. I don't think I like that. It's kind of cool if it could light up, but it seems inconsistent with the cool rocks that we have at every other park all over the city. So I don't know how y'all feel about that, but I don't like it. The building itself, though, I think looks really cool.
I agree. I think the sign kind of looks like a subway stop or something.
Yeah.
But I like the building as well.
So are these all pictures of the same design?
Correct.
I like that the building can be lit up in different colors. I think that's really nice feature.
This looks like a much larger building than the existing building. Is it going to fit in that same basic area, or will there be any impact to the playground set next to it? Will that have to be moved, or?
Commissioner Waterman, that's a good question. I thought the one site plan on the big board that we had, that we displayed the last meeting, I apologize, it had an actual, it actually depicted the existing building on there. I thought this one did, but I see it doesn't, unless I'm just not seeing it. But no, it's not that much wider, but it's definitely, this building's definitely longer. But it does not require us to do anything with the playground or the courts or the trail to the west. We would be tying into the trail to the west with the concrete patio. Potentially the parking, the end of the parking lot might get reconfigured to make that a drop-off area and a little more convenient for handicap accessibility, but really there's no impact on any of the surrounding areas. We'd obviously lose the garden in front, but you can see we're replacing that with some other landscaping. We'd lose a little bit of space on the backside between the courts and the current building. But that's just, right now, there's a park light there and grass.
The way that we have the flagstones in that front garden at Kingston now, I see lots of people hopping from stone to stone. That's really fun. If we could find a way to keep that in some aspect of the perimeter work, that's just nice to see people of all ages engaging in that movement. It's just very inviting. Any other directions we want to include or suggestions for council as they review these concept designs?
No, I don't have any. We talked about it last week, or last time, right? We talked about the pillar and being a climbing feature. Is there gonna be enough storage for the picnic tables? There looks like a lot of picnic tables. Or where do you put those in the winter, I guess I should ask? Usually,
Commissioner Larson, they just stay out. Yeah, so
they?
we would not be storing the picnic tables.
Yeah, they're mostly covered.
I didn't know that. Well, I really like the building. I think it looks great.
Do you need a formal action on our comments?
I would like a recommendation, and I can try to summarize it for you if you'd like. The recommendation would be to accept the Kingston Park building concept design. Well, let's see, accept the Kingston Park concept design with consideration for eliminating or redesigning the front entry sign and keeping a flagstone path in the front entry landscaping.
But the community concerns about the size of the serving window and the power logistics, that would also be included for council?
Wouldn't hurt to include that as well,
Okay, yes, please.
included.
I'd be happy to make that motion.
Second?
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries for the recommendations that Zach summarized.
Got it.
Okay, and then next, we have the E-Recreational Equipment Education Messaging.
Thank you, Chair, members of the commission. Another item that's been in front of you a few times, so that, I believe this is the third time you've seen it. First was a joint commission meeting where we reviewed it at the tail end of the joint workshop with the Public Services Commission. And then we reviewed some potential sign options at the November meeting. And I took the feedback from the last commission meeting and we tried to make those signs a little more personalized. Now, there are 5 signs here, I believe. We don't need to use all 5 signs. We don't need to use any of these 5 signs. We are still in the development stage, so I'm looking for feedback from the commission. Or if there's 1 or 2 you want to start with, or if you think all 5 are good and you can see could be used in different areas, we can do that. But really, again, just engaging the commission in the conversation to make sure that the direction was to allow multi-use types of e-bikes with pedestrians on our trails. So how best do we educate the public on doing that? So trying to engage with the commission on the best way to do that. And signs, and I should say, these images could be used for signs, social media postings. We could put them in our newsletter, maps, and other things. So it's not just about signs, but you get the picture, and I'll turn it back over to the chair for discussion.
I really liked 3 and 5.
I like 5, the last one. With the addition probably to add, maybe if we are going to have a speed limit, maybe add the speed limit onto the last sign.
I like 3 and 5 as well. I don't necessarily think the speed limit has to be on there just because most people.
And then,
It's kind of nice too, though. It's like slow down because it also like, while it's a bike and it's energized, it also, maybe people that are on regular bikes, if they're going too fast around pedestrians, might also take it into account.
I didn't catch that last part, I'm sorry.
Oh, I said I like that number 5 with the slow down because while it's for like an e-bike, it also just kind of has a bike. So somebody that might be on a bike may take that into account as well when they're around people walking or running or kids.
This is number 5, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Want to make sure we're all on the same page. I shuffle papers a lot, so.
And 3 was share the trail. I think that's the other one we,
With the giant bikes
That one?
and the.
Yeah.
yeah, with the giant bikes and the Lego man.
I think I have them in the right order.
I actually like number 2 as well, except I would remove the word please.
What's wrong with please?
Pardon?
What's wrong with please? Is it too many words to read?
Well,
No, seriously, like if there's too many words and people
not
won't even
like
like pay
he's
attention
yelling
to it,
the
but.
fewer words is better, in my opinion, because you're going to be going 15 miles an hour, so. But I just think you should be told to self-monitor your speed, not requested. The rule says you're not supposed to go over 15 miles an hour, not, please don't go over 15. It says don't go over 15.
I thought at the last meeting, we talked about making them funny or more funny. Those are the ones that we also, yeah, there were some
Mayor
that
Larson,
were-
are you going after my sense of humor here tonight, or?
I'm not saying it's not there, but please, no, it's not.
Hey, you, check
But-
speed.
So I thought that's where we were going, but these are all great. I mean, they're quick. You could read it while going 17 miles an hour and see it.
Maybe we could save the please and the humor for the social media stuff, and these could be just kind of brief, direct information pieces. Where would they go? The signs, like would we have them on all of the trails? Are there certain areas where we're seeing more e-bikes that we should have more reminders about speed?
Yeah, Chair, members of the commission, I think we would just be strategic. Obviously, our most used recreational trail systems, like a Hamlet Park, Woodridge Park, areas like that, community parks for sure. Any transportation trails, so 80th Street, Jamaica, or not, yeah, 80th Street, Jamaica, things like that. Counties, 70th Street is owned by the county, so I'm not sure we could put it there, but the Cottage Grove Trailway Corridor, so things like that. We wouldn't want to have sign litter either, so we'd want to be strategic.
Do you want just one, do you think, or do we want a couple of different designs? Or do you think one design is going to be more effective?
Members of the commission, I think multiple signs is fine. I think anything that, whatever brings people's attention to the fact to be safe is fine. And we're looking for comment on general, we picked a different color so that hopefully it sticks out from other typical signage. I mean, but if you don't like that color, if you don't like, yeah, I mean, we have thick skin on this, so if there's anything you don't like, images or whatever, this is all myself and our administrative assistant at Public Works trying to kind of play with it and come up with something.
I actually, if I could, Chair, I kind of like the color because it made me look at it and go, now that's going to be noticeable. Because there's nothing else out there like that I know of on our trails. So I liked that you went with a unique color.
Only one that says no electric scooters is that first one. And I have seen a number of electric scooters on the trails. So I think if that's something that we feel strongly about and would be enforcing, that might need to be included or at least more visible.
Did I miss that? Like, why aren't electric scooters?
In the ordinances that we
Yeah.
got to read, they're different.
Different, okay.
So if I may, Chair, the state law, I guess you would call it, they don't allow, we were kind of following the state trail rules. They don't allow electric scooters. I got the impression, I agree, in our joint commission meeting that we were going to allow them. So really, the only reason this sign is here is because one of the signs the commission recommended at the last meeting had that. So we just included it. That could be removed.
Well, maybe let's not include that part if that's not something we're real excited about. I kind of liked the pilot program thing because there was that one example that we looked at that helped you kind of gauge your speed as a cyclist, right? Because one of the other things that came up in that joint commission meeting was, how do you know how fast you're going? Because most of our bikes don't have speedometers. And so we saw that sample of, ride from this sign to this sign, and if you can count to 10 before you get there, then your speed's okay, or something like that. I don't know if that's right. But just to help people build some awareness about how fast they're really going. Is that something we think would be helpful, or would anybody really do that?
Chair, I could tell you that we talked about that sign. That was one of the signs recommended by the commission. The reason we didn't put it in here is just after talking about it, we didn't think signage was the best way to do it. We thought maybe it was gonna be something that we actually put on the trail. So a
Okay.
line, maybe if we're gonna, and I think it's worth trying, but it's something where we can maybe put a line on a trail, have a painted area, and then figure out, but it'd be more of a, well, like a pilot program of something, just to try it out and see if people actually take notice of it or not.
Like
Because when we
realistic-
were reading the signage, it was just, there was so many words on it. It was like, by the time you go past that thing, there's no way you're gonna know. There's no way you're gonna know what you're doing. You're just gonna go, what was that? Some sign tell me what to do and tell me to count seconds, but what does it mean? So,
I think it would mostly be used for racing, honestly.
that was the other part of the conversation.
I wonder if that would be helpful, or just, like, what do you think?
Well, I think most people who are going really fast actually have a speedometer on their bike.
Yeah?
I mean, I used to be a road biker, and I would always have a speedometer on my bike, so I know how fast I'm going. Generally, people who are going slower probably aren't going to those higher level speeds. That's kind of how I think about it. And I know like those really, like those Class C electric bikes, I think they're required by law to have a speedometer on them. It's just the two lower classes. I think I'm right on that. I'm not 100% sure. So I don't know. And I don't know because necessarily it wouldn't be a pilot project, because we are planning to continue moving forward to allow the electric bikes and have a speed limit of 15, right? So it's not something that, once we have these signs, we're not really planning on changing what the protocol is on the trails. Is that
Correct.
correct? Okay.
Cool, thank you.
Okay.
All right. So we like 3 and 5, right?
Yeah, I was gonna suggest, I don't know, could we consider combining 3 with 5? Putting the graphics from 3, the electric bike, the pedal bike, and the pedestrian on 5? Replacing the electric bike, because it's only showing the one graphic. Because we talk about pedestrians having the right of way. We also have the bike issue.
Would you replace the word slow down with share the trail? Or would
like
you
that
like to
too.
see slow down, share the trail?
The latter, slow down, share the trail. And then put the 3 graphics on this one. That would be my suggestion.
So we can bring that back as an option too.
And number 2 without please.
Now, at the last commission, the suggestion was to be friendly.
Yeah.
Just, Commissioner Olson wasn't here to hear that
Yeah.
part, so, but that was part of the discussion. So,
We can leave, please. I'm not, it doesn't matter that much to me, but then I would go then and say, I prefer number 4. Says speed limit speed limit 15 and trail speed. I mean, that's, I don't know.
See, trail speed.
Either way, I think getting the 15 miles an hour out there is important. Some of the signs need to say that, and number 5 does not. And we're already making it more crowded.
we could combine 2 and 4 and take that speed limit square sign. Instead of do not exceed 15 miles an hour, we could just put speed limit 15 miles per hour.
Like on 1.
Yeah, similar. Well, little different. I think we can combine 2 and 4 pretty easy. So let me summarize what I think I'm hearing. Combine 2 and 4 with 2 as the primary sign, but using the speed limit image from number 4. Keep sign 3 and keep sign 5, and then also add one that combines 3 and 5.
Does that sound reasonable?
Sounds reasonable, and I'll bring it back. The good thing is it's December, so we have time. So we can bring it back and take one more look at it and give us some direction and go from there. Again, I don't see different signage, just is a different way to tell the story, hopefully, and hopefully people start to read the signs, and if one catches their attention, that's good, so.
And will they be permanent signs, or will they be like the little leash reminders that we get to move places where people need reminding?
Permanent.
Okay, yay.
Do you need a motion for that, or?
It is an action item, so I think so.
I got it.
Okay.
Since we're not taking final action, I'll just come back with the revisions.
Wonderful. All right, so next we have an action update on the community garden. Right? Oh, or did I miss the presentation of information?
None tonight,
Okay.
sorry. The community garden was a good discussion last meeting. I've had multiple follow-ups with the community garden volunteer group. They had originally submitted a proposal to be reviewed at this meeting, but at the last second had pulled back. We're looking at a different site. It's the site right across from Public Works, actually, where there used to be a house there. There's an open lot that the city owns. There was a house there, and there was a former small motor shop. But in the site review, there was some information with the Pollution Control Agency, because it was a former automobile repair shop. The Pollution Control Agency automatically goes in there and reviews the soils and conditions and makes sure that there's nothing toxic in there. It did pass all the PCA testing as far as we can tell. When you look into the What's in My Neighborhood app on from their website. But the volunteers wanted to take a little bit more time. They did send a soil sample into the University of Minnesota so that they can just kind of look at everything that's going on with that site. So they hit a little bit of a pause right before the meeting, and so that's why I moved it back down to just an action update. But they're still moving forward. They're still excited to come to Cottage Grove. It's just a matter of finding the right site at this point. So they do expect to be at the February meeting to present the final proposal, and including they've already addressed all the things that the commission has asked for in terms of what you wanted the proposal to include. So that looked really good. It's just a matter of finding the right site at this point.
Was there a reason why Meadowgrass didn't work after all?
So the site down at Public Works would offer that community garden to be at least triple, maybe even quadruple in size. So it offered a lot of opportunity for growth. It's a site that we're just mowing right now, so it's kind of a wasted effort. There's a better way to use that property. Meadowgrass was pretty tight, didn't have access to water. This other site has real easy access to water as well. It's obviously much more easy for us to maintain because it's right across the road. We can drive our tractor across the road, till it up as much as we need to. So there's just a lot of advantages to it, but I want to allow them to at least take the time and study their concerns with the potential soil contamination, so.
Chair, if I could. Seeing as how I wasn't able to attend the last meeting, I just want to express my excitement over this and support of our efforts to help them get this started. I think it'd be a really nice addition to our community.
Thank you. All right, any donation acknowledgements?
Oh, I do have one, Chair. The automatic external defibrillators, those save stations, if you recall the save station we put at Woodridge Park and through the Teddy's Heart Foundation, that's the gentleman that died at Woodridge Park the previous May of 2022. His family's foundation has put in a few save stations, one at Woodridge Park, one at Healthy Sports Center in Woodbury, And then recently, we just installed the one at Glacial Valley Park. And then the Athletic Association also got on board, our Cottage Grove Athletic Association got on board with purchasing 6 additional units. So now those are all up and running. So we have save stations at Lamar Park, Highlands Park, Hamlet Park has 2 because there's the two complexes there, the north and the south. Woodridge Park, Glacial Valley Park, Lamar Park, and then we actually have 2 additional AED units that'll be stored at the Cottage Grove Athletic Association, the batting cages at Cottage Grove Middle School, and then also on the other side of the middle school is their primary football complex. They'll have one in their equipment building there too. So, and if you get a chance, there was a great presentation on Cottage Grove being a heart healthy community, I think it was called. All the different ways and means we're trying to go about becoming a heart-healthy community. So that was a pretty cool presentation at the last council meeting too. And these AED and save stations are a big part of that too. So very appreciative. That's probably over $60,000 in donations towards that cause. So pretty impressive. And thanks to everybody that was involved with that.
Wonderful. Thanks for that update. Okay, and then next we have staff reports and educational material, and included in our packet was an update from the ice arena.
Yep, just submitting for your review. Answer any questions you might have.
All right, next we have commission comments. Okay, if there are none tonight, we can move on to council comments.
Thank you, Commissioner. So just a little bit of a recap on our last 2 meetings. Big news is we did move forward with the local option sales tax or lost application with the state. So that'll be on November's ballot for voter approval. And if it's passed, that will fund some projects that I think Zach's pretty excited about. And then we also did authorize a service agreement for the purchase and installation of playground equipment at Nina's Park Playground. So I think parks-wise, those are the 2 biggest things. We also brought on a new council member, so Monique Garza was sworn in at our last meeting, and she'll be serving as our new 5th or 4th council member, fifth person on the panel. And we're really excited to have her. And I think those are kind of the big highlights for council the last few meetings. And I'll stand for any questions you guys might have.
I actually have one, Tony. I recently read an article about social workers not exactly embedded in the Woodbury Police Department, but participating on calls where a therapist might be helpful. And the article I read, it was really impressive, and I thought was really a good thing for that community, and Washington County is really supportive of it as well. And I just wondered if any conversations had been started yet with the City of Cottage Grove Police Force, so that we might have the advantage of those folks as well.
Well, I know from my extensive conversations with Public Safety Director Kerner, that Cottage Grove strives to be on kind of the leading edge in terms of community policing. I do know that our officers, as well as Woodbury's, and I think most of Washington County, as far as the Sheriff's Department goes, undergoes a lot more training on an annual basis than what is required. We also have officers in our department that work on like different community task force with Washington County. The word's escaping me right now, but joint services agreements between Woodbury, Washington County, Newport, and so on. So we have kind of consolidated groups of officers who respond to specific types of calls. I don't know that we have any like dedicated social workers at this time, but that is a conversation I'd like to bring up with Director Kerner to see if there's a space where we can incorporate that. I do know that we have our officers undergo like specific like de-escalation training and techniques and like crisis management. So I think we're covering that space, but maybe not with a dedicated social worker. But I'm interested to see what his take is on Woodbury's development. And you know, our police chief and Woodbury's police chief work together. I mean, we share the Hero Center. So whatever Woodbury's doing, that's probably already a concept that's kind of, there's probably something already in the works on that. But as far as implementation, I don't know a timeline on that. So short question, long answer. But yeah, as we strive to be one of the more sought after policing agencies in the metro to work for, those are things that are always top of mind for us. Any other questions? Well, thank you again for you guys' time, and I look forward to seeing how the naming workshop goes.
Okay. With the rest of the agenda complete, if there aren't further questions or comments, we can go ahead and adjourn to workshop.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Actually, Chair, we won't actually adjourn.
Oh.
We'll just go to a workshop.
go to
Off
workshop.
camera, it'll be a workshop open to the public, and then we'll adjourn after the meeting.
Okay.
Sorry, I should have clarified that before.
Then we'll go to workshop.
Thank you.